Welcome back to Development Division. This is the stock rear sway bar that came on my 8th generation Civic. It measures 11 millimeters and is just too conservative for my taste. So today I'll be upgrading to a 19 millimeter sway bar from Eibach. This should make the steering feel more direct and allow for higher cornering speed.
For the removal and install, you are going to need a electronic ratchet. I like this 1/4 ratchet. This is actually unnecessary, it's optional, but this is a really good tool. This is snap-on. You want a low profile socket wrench. You can use a 1/4. It should be enough with the short 1/4 socket. You need a 13 and a 12. Medium strength thread locker is a must for all suspension. 17 millimeter, 14 millimeter, 13 and 12 combo wrenches. The 14 and 17 are on ratcheting ones. Of course, this is optional and kind of just a bougie item to have, but these make things very quickly. This is a size 5 Allen key. The OEM sway bar links use this to hold the stud in place. Safety goggles, lubrication. This will come with the bushings whenever you get them. 3 different hammers here. Take your choice. Dead blow, sledge, and your 16-ounce hardware hammer. This dead blow is all right in suspension situations, but definitely these 3 are the trifecta of trying to get some shit off or trying to get some shit on. So without further ado, these are the tools you need. Let's go ahead and get into the install.
To begin the removal of the rear sway bar, we need to disconnect the end link from the lower control arm. Use a 5 millimeter Allen key to hold the stud in place, and then use a closed end 14 millimeter wrench to remove the nut. Remove both sides. After the sway bar is disconnected from the suspension, we need to remove the 4 12mm fasteners that secure the sway bar to the frame. I used a 12mm closed end wrench on the 2 bolts closest to the ground. However, for the 2 upper bolts, I used a 12mm short hex socket with a 3/8 to 1/4 adapter and a 3/8 socket. This unique combo turned out to be just the right length to reach over the sway bar bushing. As you can see, my 3/8 deep hex socket wouldn't fit. Once you remove all 4 bolts, the rear sway bar assembly is free to come out. Let's take a look at the old versus the new. The OEM rear sway bar end links are being replaced by an adjustable set from Whiteline. The bushings are being upgraded to polyurethane, and the new sway bar from Eibach is 19 millimeters. Just look at how thick. For now, I'll be just putting it on the soft side, which is the outermost side of this. I'll need to adjust the new end links to the correct length. For reference, I'm going to set the length to roughly about the length of the OEM set. This should get me in the ballpark, and I'll tighten up this jam nut later when it's installed in the car. I'll secure these end links with the supplied washers and locking nuts. This should get me in the ballpark, and I'll tighten up this jam nut later when it's
These collars are not big enough.
Next, I will be putting the sway bar bushings onto the sway bar. I lubricate the inside of the bushing and put a thin film on the outside. The new kit did not come with new collars for bigger bushings, so this is where things kind of get a little sketchy. I highly recommend finding a set of SI collars or an aftermarket solution. I had to get this car back together, so I just smashed on the OEM set and made it work. I found a set of longer bolts that were about 2.5 inches long, and this allowed the installation to be a little bit easier.
Hey, there's no way that's gonna fit up there. Alright, now we're cooking. Okay, so the cursing and more cursing is over, and we have ourselves an Eibach 19mm sway bar installed on the Civic. We have the white line end links here. These are adjustable 17mm locking nut here, so I can change this whenever I want to. Two adjustments on the Eibach sway bar, soft and stiff. I'm gonna go with soft and see how that runs. Here are the end link bushings. This is where it got a little sketchy. This nut on the backside ended up breaking off for me, so I just used a nut and tightened it up, and that worked pretty well. In an ideal situation, I would just knock off these welded on nuts and then just use some nylon locking nuts to secure the bracket here. But this is all I had today, just a normal nut. I have a locking washer here, so hopefully that brings me some security. If not, I put some blue thread lockers, so that should be okay. At least should hold me over until I get some nylon locking nuts for this. On the other side, it's the same thing. I kind of wish that this Eibach kit came with a new collar for the sway bar bushing, because this is just not lining up good, and it's just not, the OEM one is just not going to work. Maybe an OEM SI cap will work, but as far as the DX non-SI series, this is going to be a headache for you if you're intending on doing this modification. Another end link here, and we have some subtle Eibach branding up there, which would be nice. I'm gonna go ahead and drop down the Civic and take it out for a test ride, and I'll see you guys a little bit later with an update.